Greetings, gladiators. This is your teacher, Mrs. Binta Calhoun, with the instructional video for the personal narrative plot diagram. The plot diagram needs to be completed before you begin writing your personal narrative. To do this, I will review the steps that you will take to complete the plot diagram during this video. First, I'll read the directions. Fill in the plot diagram with the details of your personal narrative. Be specific and detailed, as this will help you to write and pace your personal narrative. Before you begin the diagram, please begin with the personal narrative prompt. As you can see, I've written a sentence here to describe what needs to happen. Write the prompt and the one-sentence summary you created that describes your story. This should be the sentence you wrote in the topic selection assignment. You will begin at the bottom of our diagram. Step 1 is where you will create the setting and the various places in which you and other characters of your story will travel and go through. You will zoom in to describe the setting. Introduce characters, time, place, specific locations of the places you will be during the events of your story, and any important details about the characters that we might need to know to understand what happened. Step 2, you are going to zoom in and record the first event by giving details about the first thing that occurred in your experience. What happened? Who was involved? Where were you? Then introduce your goal, desire, or problem. Remember to zoom in. Explain why the goal, problem, or desire is significant to you. Step 3, zoom in. This is where you will record event number 2. Record the second thing that happened or the second event with details about how your story becomes complicated. Is your goal being threatened? Is your wish about to be granted? How do you know? Who is the antagonist? Introduce the antagonist in event number 2 box. Now, what you'll notice is I created this red line because the logical sequence would be for you to go above to the next box. But before you describe event number 3, I'd like you to go here to step 4 and describe the conflict. Zoom in. Describe the goal you have and identify the antagonist and how or why they are attempting to keep you from achieving your goal. Remember to use me versus. So me versus myself, others, society, and nature. Remember that every story, even if it's a positive story, has some form of conflict in it. It's important for you to recognize your goal during step 2 so that when you get to step 4, you can explain who or what is trying to prevent you from achieving your goal. Now you will go to step 5, and that's where you will record event number 3. This is where you'll record the tension between you and your antagonist. Provide details about how the antagonist is getting in your way. During event number 3 of the story, everything should become more complicated, and therefore the reader should be able to see that your goal perhaps is being threatened. Step 6 is the climax. You are going to zoom in again and describe how you and the antagonist come head to head. There should be some incident in your narrative where you and the antagonist come head to head and the result of that battle is shared. How did you fight for your goal? What did you do to try to overpower the antagonist? This conflict should be described at the end of body paragraph 3. Step 7 is going to be down here, and it says resolution. You can zoom in and zoom out for the resolution. You will describe the outcome of the climax. So who won? Did you get closer to achieving your goal or further away? What did you learn from the experience? How did it change you? What happened to your antagonist? If the antagonist is you, what did you overcome to get past your problem? How has the lesson from this experience shaped you for who you are today? These are all zoom out questions, and they require you to reflect. And that's why it's part of the resolution. And then your final step, step 8, is you're going to create a theme statement. So step 8 box, you're going to write a thematic statement that describes the lesson you learned that you believe is applicable to all people. Remember, your theme cannot be exclusive to any one group. It must be universal, and you want to avoid any words that inspire action or behavior, and instead look for words that will inspire thought and contemplation. This video tutorial hopefully will assist you with moving through the plot diagram. Once again, I'm just going to review the steps. Step 1, you zoom in, you introduce the characters. You do need to provide adjectives to explain what kind of people they are. Step 2, record the first event. Step 3, record the second event. Introduce how things become complicated. Then transition over to step 4 and clearly describe the goal you have and the antagonist preventing you from achieving your goal. And end with a conflict statement, me versus. Step 5, you're going to record the tension between you and your antagonist. This is also body paragraph number 3. And you're going to explain how things are becoming more complicated, that the inevitable is going to happen. You're going to have to face off with your antagonist. And step 6, explain the climax, the situation in which you and the antagonist come head to head. And I also indicated that this explanation or this summary of the problem should go at the end of paragraph 3. And while I'm talking about that, let me just share, you can write about the setting in any one of these paragraphs. You do have to do it at the beginning, but you also may have an experience that changes settings. And every time the setting changes, you're responsible for explaining that. Step 2, event number 1 is body paragraph 1. Step 3, event number 2 is body paragraph 3. And step 5, event number 3 is body paragraph number 3. So I wanted to clarify that. So I was on step 6, explaining that you need to give specific details about your climax. Then you move over here to step 7, and then you're going to zoom in and zoom out. Describe the outcome of the climax. Who won? Did you get closer to achieving your goal or further away? What did you learn from the experience? How did it change you? What happened to the antagonist? If the antagonist is you, what did you overcome to get past your problem? How has the lesson from this experience shaped who you are today? And this would be your conclusion paragraph. Finally, for this diagram, in step 8, you will create a thematic statement. You will write a thematic statement that describes the lesson you learned that you believe is applicable to all people. Remember, a theme cannot be exclusive to any one group. It must be universal, and you want to avoid any words that will inspire action, and instead look for words that will inspire thought. Instead of watch out for who you trust, you might write a thematic statement that says, friendship is an experience that allows people to trust one another. All right. Well, I hope this video tutorial has been helpful to you. You may come back to it at any time. And remember, all that you have to do here is provide summaries and phrases so that I get an idea of where the story is going and how it is resolved. Happy writing.